Okay, so today I wanted to talk about the art of performing live and are you okay with artists lip syncing or are you not? And so this is something that causes a lot of controversy. Some people feel like if I pay for the show, you better be singing live or I could just stay home and listen to the record. And there's other people who feel like as long as you give me a performance, I don't really care if you lip sync or not. And so, I have some artists and they fall in different categories of performers. And so I'm going to discuss my take on it. First off, we got Beyonce. Whenever she did Coachella, that is one of the greatest performances of all time. Beyonce is one of the greatest live performers of all time. I do not care. And so, as people know, Beyonce does lip sync. And so, with Beyonce's lip syncing, the thing that I can appreciate is at least she's recording tracks in her current voice and she's good at lip syncing. She has mastered it at this point. Also, I want to say Beyonce is one of the greatest singers of all time. I'm sorry, her voice has really aged like fine wine. And the reason why I don't mind Beyonce lip syncing is because she's going to give you a performance. Her visuals are always going to be on point. She's going to be hitting choreography with the dancers, and she's just going to make it a show that you remember for the rest of your life. Like whenever I saw her live at the Renaissance tour, I was absolutely blown away. I really was. And whenever I talk about Beyonce's lip syncing, I'm not trying to imply that she lip syncs the entire show because I honestly don't think that she does. I think that there's parts of it. I don't know which parts. That's not something that I'm going to go and analyze because I don't really care at the end of the day. But Beyonce, I feel like, has really great performance value, and she is just going to wow you every single time she hits the stage. She really leaves it all on the stage, and she has studied the greats that came before her, like a Tina Turner, like a Michael Jackson. She shows it whenever she hits the stage. Whenever I saw her live, she did what she needed to do. Another artist who lip syncs, Janet Jackson. Now, Janet Jackson, one of my favorite artists of all time, and as is Beyonce. And so she does get hate for her vocals. A lot of people say Janet Jackson can sing and blah, blah, blah. Is she on the level of a Mariah Carey vocally? No. 99% of singers aren't. I think that Janet is good vocally. I think she gets a little bit too much hate. And so whenever she hits a stage like a Beyonce, she's going to give you choreography down. Like if you're looking at footage from the Janet tour, the Velvet Rope, like the choreography for If is absolutely insane. And so she's basically doing that the entire show, interacting with the crowd, like just watching her shows. Like I get tired watching it because how do you have the stamina to pull that off? And so I had the opportunity to see her live for her Together Again tour. She was hitting the choreography, her dancers were giving, and she had moments where she was just sitting down and singing a song like Come Back to Me, which is one of my favorite Janet Jackson songs. So Janet, I feel like she has a lot of performance value. She's going to hit the choreography hard, and so she's really a treat to watch. Another one of my favorite shows I've been to. Everybody knows Britney Spears does not sing live. And it is what it is. Because when you're giving me iconic moments like this VMA performance and all those things, all I have to do is bow down because Britney ate. Britney has one of the best stage presences of all time. Britney Spears is one of the best pop stars of all time. And we know whenever Britney Spears hits the stage, she's going to hit that 8 count like her life depends on it. Okay? She's going to interact with the crowd. She's going to give you that charisma. And so Britney does what she needed to do on that stage. Michael Jackson, another one who lip synced, and so again, that choreography, what he was able to do with a song like Billie Jean, that's history. I mean, he had people fainting whenever he performed live. He was bigger than life. He had the big stage production to back it up. One of the best. To the case of like vocalists, lip syncing, and all those things. So we have CelineDion here, and I wanted to say that I really feel for her with what she's going through right now with her medical condition, and so I hope that she gets well from that. I'm kind of just talking about whenever she used to perform live. And so, she has been called out for lip syncing. Is this something that I care about in her case? No. Just because she was able to sing those hard songs for 20-30 years, eventually that does take a toll on your voice changes. So for me, I really feel like she earned that right to lip sync and everything, and so that's just kind of how I feel. She did her time. She has so many iconic hits. That's not something that I'm going to harp on Celine for particularly. So, from my understanding, Prince was an artist that was very against lip syncing. If I'm wrong, please correct me down below in the comments. But I know that he was always talking about how his mic was on and stuff. And he was just an all-around performer. Like, he was going to dance. And he also had a live band who he's really hard on. Like, he would dock their pay, I believe, if they did stuff wrong. And so there's that. He was really big perfectionist in that way. He would play instruments himself as well. I mean, he would just give the entire show. So I don't really go for Prince a whole lot. But I can at least appreciate his performance value. I'll say that. Lady and Elton John, I'm pretty sure that they are two artists who are really big on actually performing live and not lip syncing. I know that Elton John is because he tried to shame Janet Jackson for lip syncing, but you collaborated with Britney Spears. So the irony there, and I feel like he just collaborated with her because he wanted to make a hit out of her songs, and so I don't feel like it was genuine, but I mean, I digress. And so there is something there. Are some artists who definitely refuse to do lip syncing. They want to sing live. They don't care how bad that they sound or anything. They really care about that integrity, and so there are artists like that. Next up, I got the singers who are going to make sure that they're bringing out some instruments or they're going to hit some choreography and all those kinds of things. Taylor Swift is not the greatest live singer, and we know that she's not the greatest in the studio either. A lot of us listen to Taylor Swift for her songwriting. She is an okay singer, and she's nothing to go home about, and so we have to be honest with ourselves. You know, Taylor live, a lot of times she's off key on the record. I think that we can admit that. One thing about Taylor Swift, though, is she's going to bring out a guitar. She's going to give you that moment. She's going to use the piano. Occasionally, she will hit the choreography. Is that something that I want to see? No, because the choreography that they give her sucks. Like, they made fun of her on Twitter for that Ready For It choreography, and deservedly so, because what was that? Whoever choreographed that gotta get fired, because you have to be joking. I think that Taylor's just at her best whenever she's just strutting down the stage and singing her songs, no choreography, or whenever she's behind the piano or behind the guitar. Like, I watched the Eras Tour movie, and because I love Taylor Swift's discography, I enjoyed it. I have a whole review of it on my YouTube channel, and I just went through the entire thing. And so, yeah, I think Taylor Swift, if you already enjoy her, I think that she also has a really good production behind her as well. I think there's a lot of money put into that. She has really good dancers behind it. So she knows that she lacks vocally, and so she tries to make up for it in other ways. So if you don't like Taylor Swift, you probably won't like her live. But if you mildly enjoy her, then I think that you'll enjoy her live. I think that she's got better with the live singing. Is she excellent? Absolutely not. She's better from where she started from. Taylor Swift is not the greatest vocally, as I've already said, and there can always be room for improvement when it comes to her. But at least she tries to, bring out for it another way. The artist in the same boat is going to be Oliviarodrigo. Now, she has improved whenever she first started, but she still doesn't sound great. A lot of times she's lowering the keys for her songs, and she still manages to be off key. And so I don't even know how that's possible, really. I think she's slightly improved, but I think that we have a lot of work to do with the live singing. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to see her this summer, I believe, with my sister in concert, and I'm going to review it on my channel. And I'm going to be honest with you guys about how I felt about it, as I always am. So I'm excited to see that. But I mean, she's also going to use the guitar. She's going to use the piano. She has a good stage presence. She knows how to interact with the crowd. And I feel like she can improve a lot. And so we will see where she goes from here. Harrystyles is a singer who is really good at interacting with the crowd. He answers crowd questions, and he just knows how to have that moment. And he does have a live band behind him, so there's a lot of appeal there. And so I really like his performing style particularly. And so when I went to see him live, I was a little bit concerned about the vocals. I'm not gonna lie to you, but he actually delivered. He sounded just like the record. He did what he needed to do, so I was thankful for that moment. So he kind of falls in a different boat than those other two, because it's like he doesn't really use his guitar a whole lot. A lot of times he's just gonna walk around the stage and sing his song and interact with the crowd, and I think that it works for him, and especially with that band and everything that he's got going on there. I think he has a lot of charisma for what it's worth. Other artists who were criticized for live performance, SZA, I saw some early videos when she was performing. It was bad. I think she's improved a lot. Whenever I went to see her live, she did what she needed to do. There was a great production value behind her. I thought that she sounded really good. She had the dancers. She was hitting choreography. I really liked the set list as well. I reviewed her concert. She might have had an auto-tune mic. That's something that I hear. I don't care, because she did what she needed to do. The Scientist, one of the worst live performers that I've ever seen. I don't like her in general. All she does is just try to shake her ass to distract from the fact that she can't sing. And it's just absolutely abhorrent what she's putting on that stage. And if you go and you see her live, then you get exactly what you deserve. Oh my god, she's so horrible live. I've not seen one good video of her singing live. I have not seen it. And so this is why I call her the biologist, because the only Mariah I know is Mariah Carey. So it's a chop for me. Icespice is also a horrible performer. And I will say that it is different for rappers, because you don't have to sing. You just have to talk loudly. So I don't know how you managed to mess it up. And I remember I saw this one performance of Jay-Z, and he was just walking around and getting out of breath. So, I mean, that is a problem. And there's a whole conversation about male rappers and male artists. A lot of them don't have any performance value. And so they got to be held accountable for that, because just standing there with the auto-tune singing and thinking you're giving a performance ain't anything. Travis Scott, Future, all those, you can catch strays, because I haven't seen any good live performances from any of them. So she does the same thing Mariah the Scientist does, try to shake her ass and distract the fact from the point that she cannot perform live at all. And so it doesn't work whenever she performs live, just because the textures of her voice that she uses on her songs. So she always has the track along with her to do it, and so it just doesn't work. People don't know the lyrics, they don't go out for it. And so yeah, a horrible live performer. When someone tried to tell her on Twitter she couldn't perform live, she tried to make fun of their weight. And so Icespice, I made a whole video on why she won't have longevity. I'll link it down below in the description. I feel like I've referenced that video a lot, but it just keeps applying every time I mention her. So she's a chop for me, and I feel like all these rappers really need to step up their performance value. Lanadelrey had an SNL performance in like 2012 that was so bad that it kind of became iconic in a way, and I just rewatched part of this the other day, and I'm like, this is horrible. And it seems from the few clips that I've seen that she's improved since then, and I would hope so because, Lord, I don't know what this was. Dualipa is an example of someone who took the constructive criticism to heart. Like, someone said, "Go, girl, give us nothing" at one of her performances on YouTube, and that is just like an iconic moment. And so she really got to work. She started upping her performance value. The live vocals are great, the dancing is great. Like, she just really enjoys what she's doing, and it makes such a difference. So I think she's also one of the great live performers now. In terms of a live performer that I think is really good right now, I definitely have to give it to dojacat. And so what I really like about her is that she's always going to make it an experience, right? Like, whenever she had to perform Say So 87 times, she gave us a bunch of different versions of the song. She switched up the song in the arrangement. She knows how to interact with the crowd. I think that she sounds really great live. So I think dojacat is really giving what needs to be gave live. You know, in terms of her controversies, her as a person, I don't support her in everything. I gotta give her 10s where 10s are due. That's what I can say. Megantheestallion is a really good live performer too. I have to give her 10s. I also have to give Cardib her 10s too. Like, no matter what, she's gonna put her all into the performance, so I can at least appreciate that. Mariahcarey is my favorite artist of all time, and a lot of times she just stands there and sings, but her vocals are so amazing it doesn't bother me. And she does interact with the crowd a lot, and she does her tangents and stuff like that, so I really enjoy seeing her perform live. I will say now, I don't think we're as hard on singers for not performing live, because I think a lot of us understand that a lot of singers are going to lip sync, and I feel like most of us feel like if an artist is giving us a good performance, then it doesn't really matter, and some people just don't care about that in general. It's really just the vibe, if anything else, of going to the concert and such. Like, if you got caught lip syncing, you know, in the 90s or anytime around there, you were toast. Like, people did not go up for that. There was a lot of uproar behind it. I mean, this was what, 2003, 2004, ashleesimpson, when she was performing, she got caught lip syncing. Her career has never been the same since. I think now it would be different. Maybe it's just a younger generation thing. Maybe it's because a lot of the artists right now are just not good at performing, and then the standard of performing has lowered so much that I feel like a lot of people my generation don't even know what a good performer is and stuff like that. The reason my standard of performing is so high is because I watch people like a Michaeljackson, a Beyonce, for example, and see, okay, this is what a performer is supposed to do. To wrap up my thoughts on this pretty succinctly, I will say that if you can perform, if you can give me a grade 8 count, it doesn't matter to me whether you sing live or not. And if you know that you can't sing live, then you're going to have to bring something else to the table in performance value. You're going to have charisma with the crowd, interact with the crowd, have a bit of production behind you, but you're going to have to find a way to make up for that deficit, because it is. You have to dig yourself out of that hole, and so there is something there. But, you know, someone like a Beyonce, a Janetjackson, because they give me so much performance value, it doesn't matter to me a whole lot that they don't sing live. And so, you know, that is an exception for me there. And another exception, like I said, is if you're a vocalist, your songs just got really hard to sing, I'm not going to fault you for lip syncing. It is what it is. And then maybe if you're sick, like if you came down with something really bad and you don't want to cancel the performance, maybe that's the only exception I have. Besides that, I feel like you should perform live, especially rappers. A lot of these male rappers and male performers are absolutely horrible, and they have no stage presence, and I think that that's something that has to be discussed. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is there any exception for you whenever it comes to singing live, or do you always expect the artist to sing live? You don't want any exceptions. If you found out that they weren't singing live, you would be very disappointed and all those things. And I just love to have nuance in the conversation and to see what you guys think, and that's why I like making videos, is just to see where everyone's at on this discussion. But this is something that's always controversial when it comes to live singing, and I'd like to know where you stand on it.